This is Viterbi Voices, your chance to hear stories about research, classes, student life, and more.
Directly from our students, faculty, and other members of our engineering community. All right here at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering.
Welcome back into Viterbi Voices. This is episode
124.
124. Audrey was not ready for that question.
I think. If that is wrong, sorry.
If you don't know, just check to see what number's on the player when you're listening to it. But as usual, I'm one of your hosts. My name is Paul Ledesma. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Admission here at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering.
And my name is Audrey Roberts. I'm a junior studying mechanical engineering here at USC.
Audrey, what is this episode all about? What do we got coming today?
Yeah, so this is a fun one. I'm super excited because it's one that Cami and I did together. So Cami's an electrical engineering student here, and we both went to art schools in high school.
Art schools in high school?
Yeah, or I guess for high school. So we kind of just discussed the transition from that to engineering, which I like to talk about because I think it's sort of a unique path, and everyone's always like super baffled when I say that. Like, oh my, did you take math?
Yeah, we get so many questions about like, my life in high school is not all engineering. I'm like, hey, whose is?
Yeah.
Number one. And number two, there's levels of preparation here, and people have lots of great backgrounds that come into engineering. Right. So from art school to engineering school.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, let's get out of the way and hand it over to Cami and you to discuss art to engineering.
I'm super excited to be here with Cami today, and we're going to have sort of a unique conversation because both of us went to art school for high school. I believe, was yours a middle and high school, or?
No, it was just a high school.
Just high school?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And now we're both studying engineering. So do you want to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, sure. I'm Cami. I'm a junior. I'm studying electrical engineering, and I'm minoring in dance. And I've always really been involved in the art community. I kind of thought that's what I wanted to do, whether it was like animation or like 2D art or something like that. I went to performing arts high school for animation.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. That's so cool. It's cool how you have a dance minor now, but you studied animation.
Yeah. I don't know. I've just always really, really been involved in art and like just constantly like everything I can do kind of thing.
Yeah.
I did not think engineering was going to be my path for sure.
No, I feel the same way. Like my whole life up until this point was like always about art in any sense. Like my sister was a dancer. I studied visual art so mine was a middle and high school. I went to Denver School of the Arts.
Oh, that's so cool.
What was yours?
It was boring. It was Dr. Phillips High School, and it was just the visual and performing arts.
Okay, cool. But you're from Orlando. So.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. But yeah, no, I was kind of the same way where I always thought I was going to do something else. And then here we are. So why did you decide to study engineering?
Well, I figured out that I love art so much, but I think I would grow to hate it if it was my career. And I think that I already started feeling that when I was in high school. I was like, I loved animation, I loved drawing, and I loved doing all these things, but I know if it was my job and I did it like 8 hours a day, I would just lose the love of it. So I decided I was not going to be able to do art, so I had to kind of pick something else. And I've always kind of been drawn to math and science. I've always like been considered probably like the more like scientific person out of like all my artsy friends. I was just like getting good grades in math and physics, and I liked it, and it was fun. It's definitely not engineering. Yeah. I think I kind of just got really, really lucky that I was like, oh, this is like engineering, and then I picked one type of engineering, and it happened to be a really, really great fit for me. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I kind of felt the same way. Like senior year, I think by junior year, I knew I like wasn't gonna go to arts. Maybe even earlier. Like I knew I wasn't gonna go to like a fine arts program or something, and it was kind of for that reason. Like having art as like a grade and all of that had sort of taken a little bit of the joy out of it for me.
Yeah.
And I figured I just like was so eager to learn something totally new, and that's why I picked it too. And also, we had Calc 3 together for social
We did. We like first semester.
So we did take math at art school. People ask me that all the time. They're like, "Did you have math class?"
Yeah, like, yes. I had A, B, and B. C. We both did.
We both did. So don't underwrite those art school kids. But that's awesome. So you picked electrical engineering sort of by random. Do you see a connection between, I guess, like animation and dance and electrical engineering, or like, do you think this maybe not necessarily like a concrete one, but do the skills transfer over for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about this a lot recently, actually. Maybe not dance as much. I think dance connects a lot more to like kinesiology and physics, and kind of like I think about gravity all the time when I'm in dance class. But I think electrical engineering specifically, I've kind of been opened up to this world of like signal processing and like a lot of data analytics that falls under kind of the branch of EE. And recently I've noticed that it can really be applied to art, like creating machine learning algorithms that like can produce their own art and like can authenticate art, and like you can
cool.
You can see like
authenticating art.
Looking at all these Van Goghs and then like put it through like a machine learning algorithm, and then like it kind of knows what Van Gogh's like brushstrokes are in his style, and so it can kind of help either replicate or authenticate a painting. Or just I think there's like so much that engineering and technology can do for the art world in order to like, I don't know, sustain it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I have a minor in future cinema, so it's in like the Media Arts and Practice program, which is a program within our cinema school focusing on media arts, basically. And it's kind of interesting because it's totally like combining double E and like computer science almost with filmmaking, not necessarily, or just any sort of moving pictures storytelling. And of course I don't like dabble in the double E side, but it is like you can see how technology can help to push an idea so far for artists. And it's cool to see artists like doing engineering, because it's almost like cooler a little bit because I just feel like the ideas are so much more rich. But
no, that's so cool. My roommate actually is in media arts and practice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's her degree. Yeah.
It's so cool. I wish I knew about it when I was in high school.
I know. It's really cool. She actually does a lot of engineering. One of my friends in Double E is now helping her on a project. It's like VR, and they're trying to do like apply these like VR simulations to like occupational therapy, actually, is the big project they're doing, yeah.
It's so cool. Well, I'd love to hear it. About the collaboration. And then your minor is in Kaufman. So have you taken dance classes like every semester at USC? Yeah,
the only semester I didn't was first semester freshman year, actually.
Okay.
That's my only semester. Most semesters I either take 2 dance classes. This semester I'm just in 1. But it's probably the best experience that I didn't know I was going to be able to have in college. Like, the faculty are just so impressive, and the fact that like they're also teaching all the BFAs, and they just come into our class, and they're just, like, not, like, showing us kind of, like, disdain, or, like, oh, they're just, like, the minors, or, like, they're not, this isn't their career. They kind of have a deeper appreciation for us because we dance because we love it, not because it's going to be our job.
Right.
And so I really like that. And they're always just so impressive, like, getting to meet these people who have been, like, leaders in dance companies, and having their own dance companies, and been, like, the proteges of, like, famous like Paul Taylor and Merce Cunningham, and like all these people are just like so impressive, and they're just nice. They're just like very nice faculty.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, our dance school is absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
unbelievable,
world renowned.
Yeah, so that's
amazing.
So cool. How are the classes like? Like, how does it feel to take a dance class and then like walk into a double E class?
So this semester, I'm lucky that my dance class is my last thing of the day. So I had dance today, and I had probability and statistics right before dance. And so I am dying by the end of probability. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's a 2-hour lecture. And I just get to go into dance class. I take off all my like street clothes, and then it's contemporary. So like the first half hour, we're just on the floor, like laying down. And like it's such a release, and it's such this kind of like special moment in my day twice a week
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Yeah.
Have you found like a different kind of community among the students in Kaufman than in Viterbi, or is it just kind of like people you take classes with?
That's interesting. I would say actually a lot of people in Kaufman, especially minors or in the classes that I'm in, are in Viterbi.
Oh,
actually.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah. It's really cool actually. And I think the professors kind of realized that, like, our ballet professor last semester, our class was, like, predominantly mechanical, electrical engineers, and, like, he was just like, oh, this is awesome, and, like, tried to, like, relate everything back to physics, and, like, he didn't really get everything right, but he was just really, really into it, like, the idea of everything being, like, really, really connected between our fields and dance, so.
Yeah. Do you think there's... I guess you were talking about physics earlier. EE, maybe not quite the connection, but...
Yeah, no, maybe not the same level of connection to dance. I think that a lot of dance, though, is kind of this... Like, the way that you think when you're dancing, I think is very similar in how I approach and think about, like, problem solving in EE. Because I think EE is, like, a very, very broad general thing. And so, typically in my EE classes, you kind of get these, like, very open-ended kind of problems that you have to be very creative. And I think in dance, a lot of what you're doing is you have to, like, make a decision. Like, you have to be like, I'm going to fall, I'm not going to fall, I'm going to, like, that kind of thing. And I think solving problems in EE it's a similar system where you're just, like, you have to make a decision, like, about how you're going to go about doing things. Because, like, in one of my classes, it's signal, like, linear signals. It's so open-ended. It's like, you have this, you want to, like, transform this audio signal, like, what's the best way of doing it? And so, I don't know, I view it as a similar approach. It may not be, like, directly connected, but in my mind it is.
No, I see that. I think, like, people really struggle to see the connection between art and engineering. And if they do, like, with STEAM or something like that, sometimes it feels a little forced. But I do find that, like, for me, I haven't necessarily tried to, like, make engineering an art thing or, like, ever make art an engineering thing.
Yeah.
But, like, as separate things that I enjoy, they've each taught me, like, really important skills. Like, for example, I was talking about this, like, I was really into sculpture, and that taught me from, like, a young age how to think spatially, which is, like, the most critical skill I have as a mechanical engineer. And, like, no, like, I'm not doing art as a mechanical engineer like, I'm not, which is unfortunate, but, like, those skills still transfer and definitely make me a better engineer, even if I'm, bad at special relativity or something.
Oh, gosh.
But
who's good at that is my question.
For sure not me. But, I think people struggle to see those things, or even, like, in dance or in animation or in, visual art or whatever, you're, like, fundamentally trying to communicate some sort of idea with your viewer. And, like, as an engineer, maybe you're not doing that, but, like, communication is also really important. So those things can help us. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I struggle with finding that line because I'm always so eager to force them together, but I've never really successfally been able to do that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a lot of people when they see, like, oh, like, you're into art and engineering, like, what do you do to connect them? Or, like, it's like, I don't know, it's much more, I feel like, an internal thing for me, at least.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
I agree.
Do you feel like it's hard for you to, like, maybe communicate or, like, talk about your experience in art with people who, like, obviously don't have that?
I don't know if you've experienced this too, but I feel like this is less so true now, especially since, like, most people on campus, in my major at least I know, but it definitely, like, freshman year or even in high school, like, freshman year of college, it was like, oh, like, you went to art school, like, kind of, why would you study engineering? And then senior year of high school, I was, like, the only kid from my high school who, or maybe one of a couple who went into engineering.
Yeah.
I think, like, people knew why, like, I had been at that school for 7 years. People knew me well enough. But I think it feels random to some people.
Yeah.
What about for you?
Oh, I feel that. The random, like, that perfectly sums it up. Because I think, in high school, everyone was like, what? You're going to USC? Oh, for engineering? Yeah, because, like, a lot of people there were into film, and they're like, oh, that's awesome. And then they're just so confused by that. And I think, yeah, freshman year it was difficult to kind of be like, I kind of stopped telling people, to be honest.
Yeah, same.
I was just like, no, like, I'm into engineering, because I felt like I already felt like personally that I was justifying why I chose engineering, because I wasn't really secure in my choice to begin with. And so, like, justifying it to other people was, like, a little too hard for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. Or, yeah, I totally agree. It's like, you know, you don't need to explain it after a while. But I think it's interesting, too, that, like, you did animation in high school and now you're doing dance. And for me, it's kind of similar, too. Like, I did one art form in high school and now I wouldn't say I'm, like, doing another art form actively, but I'm learning about a different one. Yeah. So, what, like... Have you kept up with animation, or? Because I have literally not made art in like 3 years, which is sad. It is sad, but
yeah. I mean, if you open up my notebooks, that's really sad.
Cami's notebooks are beautiful.
Draw everything. Like, I get bored. I'm just start scribbling. Yeah, I think I definitely try to keep up with my art. I don't get to like sit down and do something, because I know I don't have like free time to just be like thinking and like have creative space, which is, I wish I had more of that. I think dance is nice because it, like, you literally have to go to class and you're forced to do that, which I appreciate. I don't know, I think my way of kind of connecting back to animation was literally me like doing this comic series, like the Viterbi Life comic.
Yeah, Cami makes this awesome comic that is hilarious moments from real things that we see on campus.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I started doing that kind of just for myself because, like, I felt like part of it, like, I was missing, like, part of that, what I experienced for, like, most of my high school years and middle school years. I was always drawing, so.
Right. Yeah, it's, like, kind of finding ways to, you know, adapt and keep up the skills, but do something else. Yeah. That's super cool. Do you ever, like, think about if you would have, like, gone to art school or, like, studied art as a major?
I would have been so miserable. I really believe that. I think, because experiencing kind of, like, spending time with Kaufman BFAs, like, they are exceptional and just really, really beautiful artists, but, like, I could never have lived that kind of lifestyle, or, like, even the people in the art school, I could never have done that. Like, so much of their time is dedicated to just, like, working on these projects that I know would have, like, emotionally broken me to do that. So.
But I guess you get that in, like, a different way in engineering. You have, like, a lot of time dedicated on a project. Yeah. It's different. So.
Yeah, I feel like there's a level of, like, vulnerability. I don't think I said that word right.
That's perfect.
When you're making art, like, I don't know, you feel like you have to kind of inject your perspective on the world and make something new, or I don't know, I felt like a lot of pressure when I was making stuff, that it had to be, like, kind of this level of quality and artistry. I feel like with engineering there is that, but it's much more, like, not emotion or, like, personal, like, style based. I don't know, I feel like it's less of an attack if you get a bad grade on a project than, like, if you get a bad grade on an art project.
Right. No, I totally get that. I always felt like whenever I was making art, it was, like, a really pure reflection of myself. So if it was bad, it, like, I was disappointed in myself. And, like, I have at times been that way about grades, but I'm over that at this point now. So it's, like, sometimes you just, like, I'm not good at something, and I'm, like, okay with it. And, like, I do a bad job on an assignment. And, like, that's the way it is. But I do think there's something, like, a little more, like, intimate about the process of making art, and I think you can find that in engineering too, and definitely with certain projects, just in design teams or whatever. Like, I've felt that, like, same level of, like, pride in something and level of disappointment, but I don't know if I've quite reached that with anything in engineering yet. Where it's like you feel like it's just like an extension of yourself almost. But I
think like, in engineering, I felt more proud of stuff, because I feel like a lot of stuff has been harder than I've ever done in, like, the art world. And I'm just like, wow, I overcame so many things. Like, I thought were going to break me. Yeah.
How has it been? Like, obviously, we kind of talked about this. Both of us obviously had a background, and, like, we were good at math in high school and whatever. But do you feel like it made it harder for you as an undergrad here?
Ooh. I feel like in my head it was harder for me, because I feel like I was insecure about, like, whether or not I was supposed to be an engineer, because I don't know, everyone around me seemed to be like, oh, I did robotics, I did all this stuff. Like, I've been doing Java since I was 6, or I don't know anyone who actually does that, but like, like that kind of level of like people were dedicated to engineering and they kind of knew what they wanted, and they knew like this was maybe not the right major for them, but they knew they were supposed to be in STEM, and I've kind of never had that security, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think starting out, I think my struggles were probably like emotional struggles, because I think overall the faculty is pretty good, at least in my classes, at kind of like meeting you where you are, and if you needed help, like, they would catch you up and stuff like that. So yeah,
I agree. I think like everything I needed to learn, I learned here. Like, my high school didn't have they did have AP Physics, but they had one of them, but I didn't take it. So like having that sort of background maybe would have helped me a little bit, but like beyond those intro classes, it was more of like, I could tell that everyone around me had like pictured themselves as an engineer their whole lives, and that was like so not the case for me. And I never did robotics or like anything like that. And it was kind of like, oh, like would I be better at this if I would have done that? And I think it took me a couple years to realize like, no, like I'm good at this because of all my experiences, and like I struggle with these things maybe, but I can get better at it. So
yeah, I really appreciate that, because I think that's so true. That I've come to realize as well, that like, oh, my background in the arts isn't a weakness in engineering. Like, it's a total strength, and I think being able to be confident about that is cool.
Yeah, that's cool. We're major arts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know of anyone else. I don't think I've met anyone else who, I'm sure there are people who went to art school. And there are a lot of people, like you said, who have minors. So I also think as we've sort of gotten older, like, people sort of start to see the connection more.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people here are involved in art. Maybe not the same way that we were. I think a lot of people here are musicians. Like, I know a lot of engineers who are dancers, that sort of thing.
Yeah, or like in band or something.
Or yeah, band, yeah.
Yeah, which is cool. I think like piano is the most common Viterbi minor.
Yeah, which is cool. I think that's awesome.
And it's cool to kind of just get like a slice of the arts community at USC, because they are like these insane groups where the kids in you know, the cinematic arts school or Kaufman or Thornton, or the dramatic arts school or Roski, any of these students are like incredible. So it's cool to sort of see that, but not live the life.
Yeah,
you said.
The lifestyle is a little too intense.
Yeah, but and then one other topic I wanted to touch on is just like maybe advice for prospective students who maybe feel like, oh, I haven't done all of these things. Can I still study engineering? Like, you know, because I think there are a lot of people out there who maybe just don't think they have the skills or whatever to study a field like this. But I know for me, like, it's opened so many doors. It's such a great degree, and I love it. So do you have any words on that?
Yeah, I think that's such a wonderful question, because, I mean, I don't think there are, like, that many limitations to studying engineering. Like, I feel like if you want to do it, it's pretty available. I think it's like such a big fad kind of right now too, and I think basically any type of personal experience can really bring something to the table, and I think that's really important if you feel like you're not an engineer type, to maybe like pursue it, because there are already a lot of people who are engineering types, and I think the field is just going to grow stronger with people who maybe don't have that kind of like super like rigorous math science background, because there are already people like that, and engineering can benefit from all different types of people. So
totally. Yeah, like the problems that need to be solved need, you know, not everyone who did the same robotics in high school, people who have a variety of experiences, because it really can come into play. Like, for me, I love ceramics. I've always loved ceramics, and like, I'm, you know, in Mechie, it's definitely applicable, and I'm always thinking about ceramics. Like in RPL, every chance I have to be like, hey, maybe a ceramic is a solution to that. I do, because it's just exciting to sort of bring that element in. And if you have a different background, you can definitely like voice a crazy idea that maybe is a good one. So. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. I love chatting with you about art school. So thanks, Cami.
Thank you.
From art to engineering. So what was your biggest takeaway from this conversation? What do you want our prospective students to know when they're coming from various backgrounds going into engineering school?
I think first, on just like a personal level, it's knowing that perhaps the skills you have from high school, even if they're not, hardcore engineering skills, you didn't take AP computer science or AP physics, what you have is still valuable. So for me, I still think some of the most important things I've learned were from my art school education. And those are the things that have really stuck with me to today. And I still use being able to communicate visually, think spatially. I studied visual arts in high school, and that spatial thinking is still the most critical thing I've ever learned. And then on the flip side, I think from the classmates' perspectives, it's important to know that even if someone maybe hasn't taken all the AP physics you have or has a different background, to not write them off and really embrace that, because I think our different backgrounds as engineers, but also as students, make USC better and make it more fun to be in the classroom.
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot on various episodes of the podcast when students visit and a lot of our brochures on our website. Engineering is about solving problems, and we need a diverse set of teammates that have a common denominator of quantitative skills to understand how to basically be prepared for our curriculum that's rigorous. But the solutions for engineering problems are not in the quantitative. They're in the qualitative. They're in spatial reasoning. They're kind of this old visual approach to things, understanding the big picture. At the end of the day, critical reasoning is incredibly important. Being able to communicate effectively is incredibly important for an engineer. And knowing math and being the best math student in the world, it does not make you the best engineer. And ultimately, there is no such thing as the best engineer, but there is a best combination of people to solve a particular problem. And so it's going to need all types. And at the beginning, we talked about, we have lots of students that talk about, my life has not been engineering up to this point, and no one's is supposed to be. What we need to make sure is, from a preparation standpoint, if you're applying to the engineering school, we need to see that you've been engaged in math and science courses in high school. That is important. You need to have background in that, and that it's at high levels of rigor. We need to see calculus before you apply. You need to be successful in calculus. These are the linchpins to doing well in class here, right? And so that's a level of preparation. But you don't need to be an engineer. You didn't need to intern with engineers. You didn't need to work on engineering projects in high school, because no one does. Right. And to be quite honest with you, I'm probably more concerned about the students that thought they were engineers before they got here, because maybe they're not open to the education and this dynamic kind of collaborative workspace. I mean, have you seen that out in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, one thing as I kind of become an engineer, I guess, and I learn more about it, I noticed really the most critical thing is communication skills, and failures I've seen in engineering occur because of a lack of that. So, I think if you can develop that, that's the most important. Yeah. And also just on the note of having a rigorous math and science background. I know Cami and I met Cami in Calc 3 first semester freshman year.
Did you really?
Yeah. She was better at it than I. Cool. But you can have that and still, do other things. And it's kind of interesting. I think math and science, of course, applies to anything in this world, and that's the really cool part about it. So you can be really passionate about that. In high school, I love math, I love physics, but it was because I love ceramics, and I was really interested in making the coolest ceramics. And to do that, I needed to understand all of these things about pretty technical concepts. So
ceramics is interesting. Ceramics is not only just a cool art form, it's actually project management. It's this idea of where are you going? Where are you going with this, right? So if you're gonna plan out, if you're on the wheel, if you're doing that, you have to have somewhat of a plan. Granted, but then you also have to know that when your plan goes awry, you're gonna make changes as you go.
Yeah.
Or if you're sculpting something, or if you're building something up, you have to kind of know where you're going with this thing and adapt to the changes as you go. I just thought of that right now. That ceramics is this amazing project management skill.
I don't know if I would go that far.
I love it. I love the idea.
I like your idea. I think for me,
my point is, have you ever seen a student just completely throw it all away? This didn't go the way I wanted it to go.
In engineering or in ceramics?
Both.
Well, in ceramics, occasionally, sometimes perhaps something falls off the wheel.
Sure.
So that's the ultimate, just throwing it all away. Or, it out explodes or whatever.
It's more of a metaphor, I guess.
Yeah. Sure. No, I do think, yeah, I've definitely seen students get frustrated. Like if something's not working, you just, are like, I'm done with this, whatever. But I think most things that I've been involved with at USC, there's enough like grounding passion where it's like perhaps there's like a big moment of frustration and then you like come back and from that failure make it better. And I think that's true with art too. Like say something explodes in the kiln or is just like really ugly or whatever, you obviously want to make it better. And I think, for me, things that I've like been passionate about, that's the drive to like do well because you care about it because it's like a reflection of yourself. Yeah. Whereas if it's like a grade maybe or something like that, that's a different motivation. So I guess the underlying thing too is just really enjoying what you do if you can. And being okay with like not having a traditional path because you're liking what you do. A lot of random words there, but yeah, I mean, I've seen kids get frustrated, but typically I think kids at USC do tend to mainly do things they like actually want to do.
Right.
So because of that, usually people can come back from it.
Right. Well, thank you so much for bringing this conversation to the podcast. I think it's great, and hopefully it helps some of you out there identify with this idea of, do I want to be an engineer? And you may be coming from different backgrounds. And it's the question of, do you see problems in the world that you think you want to solve? And if that's the case, and you have a kind of an underlying skill set in quantitative courses, math and science, et cetera, are you ready to go? Then let's talk about it and let's get you into the coursework and see whether it's going to work out or not. And I think that's important because we need different types of engineers. This is all part of the National Academy of Engineering. It's changing the conversation about what an engineer looks like, how an engineer speaks, how they think, and the traditional stereotypes of engineering is something that we are actively working against, I think, in creating a dynamic student body, because ultimately when you work against those stereotypes, you create a dynamic set of team members that are going to be facing a really complex, wicked set of problems in the world, and that's what we need.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've been gone for quite some time. Audrey's been holding down the fort, been releasing some episodes. And so our travels continue for admission. So if you're out there in the world, we've still got events going on. Next week I'll be, and also with Matthew on the East Coast, we got Philly, Boston, New York, DC, a whole host of other places. I mean, Dallas and Texas and Atlanta and Florida,
my goodness.
Chicago, Portland, Seattle. All of these are coming up in the coming weeks. Go to viterbiadmission.usc.edu and click on visit and go to our off-campus events, and you'll see all the opportunities there to visit. Plus, as another reminder, Sunday, November 16th. So that's right. Is that right? Once again, yes. I should actually look at the calendar before I start talking. This would make things so much easier to actually talk about. But Saturday, November 16th, is Discover USC. Discover USC is the large annual on-campus open house. It's a big day at USC. There are so many things happening across campus from all of the academic units. And as part of Discover USC, we hold the Viterbi Expo. The Viterbi Expo is just a big deal for the engineering school. We'll have faculty giving different sessions, micro seminars, and little mini lectures. We'll have a lot of our student organizations out showing off what they do. We'll be giving out dozens of lab tours throughout the day. I'll be leading 2 different keynote presentations about the engineering school, which are kind of large, big opportunities to learn about the school and the admission process. So if you are a senior in high school that is thinking about applying or would like to learn more about USC, the admission process, and the engineering school, that is one big day for you to show up. It's an all-day affair, but you can hop in and out of different elements throughout that day. Check out viterbiadmission.usc.edu for more of the details and to register for that event. And we hopefully will see you at one of those soon. November 16th is coming up big, or at our off-campus programs if you can't come visit campus. So anyway, that's some more updates from us. We'll get out of your way for this one, and we'll see you on the next episode.